here. Put this here. And we are live once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome. And I still have to do a few things here as I accommodate Jensen. Say hello to the folks, Jensen.
Hello to the folks, Jensen. Seriously, hello everyone.
So,
Hopefully everyone's okay. Right. So I'm guessing we're going to be talking about the whole French thing at some point.
we will.
Goody goody.
Here you go.
All right. And watching. Loading. Still. Hello. Gotcha.
All right.
Really?
We'll pull up some other stuff later.
Yeah. No, I'm just looking at that title. It's like, really? Wow.
I'm just looking at it.
Hmm.
But you had a game yesterday. You told me about
Yes,
Yorkie.
I did. Yes.
Was Yorkie the only thing that happened that entire game?
No, 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 no. They have discovered the building. They have gone in. They broke in. They slaughtered all the security guards up top, which was hilarious. I mean, screw subtlety. Okay, this as the ref. I'm expecting to do the sneaky, knock out the guards, maybe slit their throat. No, no, they just went in and tore the bodies into blooded chunks. Okay, there were literally bits of guards dribbling off the walls. So subtlety does not appear to be a strong point for the group, but they
Well,
managed to get in. So yay!
well, I think that's part of the problem with the masquerade is people forget that they're supposed to be sitting in the background. They're
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah,
be focused on that, not focused on what can I do as far as power goes.
yeah. Unfortunately, my entire group lacks the power trip. It's like watching a character in a manga isekai. It really is.
Well,
They just power trip the living hell out of everything.
and that's an issue with new players to begin with, and then of course in the dark worlds. All right, like I said,
Hmm.
it's hard to get people to to work within it. All right, initially
Yeah,
until they realize how once they played it enough, they begin to realize, okay, what are these characters supposed to be doing? Right, these characters
yeah,
forget that their primary mission is to hide what they're doing. That's what they're always supposed to be doing. They should be thinking first and foremost about hiding. Right now, granted, there
yeah,
will be ones that don't care. All right, but the ones that don't care have to be worried about the reaction of the ones who do. Does that make sense?
yeah.
And
No, no,
and unfortunately, trying to teach them that is very difficult, especially if they're rolling up their character. Right. That's why I think that if you're going to start a game like this, if I was going to actually try and game manage and be a manager of a game like that,
hmm
I don't think I would let people roll their character. I think
yeah.
I would tell them
You'd
this is
give
what your
them
character's
characters.
background
Yeah,
is. This is what your character, so that I could learn whether or not they can role play and whether or not they're you know trying to do this. Because getting people to role play is what your goal is, right?
yeah, yeah. That would be nice.
Okay.
But yeah, basically they found the main bad guy, or at least a main bad guy, and Yorkie's tank character, who and by the way, he really is a freaking tank, has suddenly realized that he's not as much of a tank as he thought he is, because just being cut by this creature started to drain his fortitude permanently.
Hmm. Little fan service for the
Yeah.
people.
Oh yes. Oh, who cares about the other people? It's fan service for me.
A little fan service for Jensen.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to a real story.
Hmm.
The UK's Starmer is suddenly the West's last leader standing tall. One moment you're shaking hands with Elmo in a town hall, and next you're on the world's biggest stage bearing the weight of the liberal order on your shoulders. What do they mean by liberal order?
Literally that, but as long as by liberal order you cross reference the WEF order. Okay. They're trying to suggest that that is the official liberal order.
Keir
Yeah.
Starmer, who spent the last 6 weeks campaigning under the one word banner of change, is about to discover how, in politics, it can come at you fast. No one around the new UK Prime Minister would claim his victory on Thursday came as a surprise. But the fact that he's going to show up at the annual summit in the North Atlantic Treaty
NATO.
Organization
Mhm,
just days
mhm.
after the strongest leader in the room, all right, owes partly to the pace of events beyond his control. Now, let's be perfectly frank here. You pull the United States out of NATO, okay? Just
Mhm.
remove us completely, okay?
Yes.
This is a theoretical point,
I know.
so
I know.
I want people to understand. What military forces does NATO have that aren't British? Really?
Basically, what Poland has got, and let's be fair, 99% of it they've bought off of you lot. So, yeah, basically, there is absolutely bugger all. It's really bad. Okay. I mean, like, let's be honest. Okay. The Germans, well, they have a joke of a military now. The French are basically wobbling their way towards absolute chaos at any given second, though, again, we'll be talking about that later, you said.
Hmm.
The Italians, I mean, let's be honest, the last time the Italians meant anything was about 2,000 years ago, i.e., the Romans. Um, and the rest of Europe, I'm going to put it bluntly, who cares?
Yeah.
If you added all of it together, it's still a negligible amount when it comes to what America actually puts in to look after these bunch of ingrates.
So let's continue on with the story here. In Washington, he'll be hobnobbing with Joe Biden, whose deteriorating health fellow leaders have begun to break their silence on. The president of France, Emmanuel Macron, will arrive wounded by his decision to call a snap election in which his own party looked to set to come in third, but it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, unlike Macaroon, Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz. That's how I would pronounce it. Scholz, not Schultz, but
Schultz is,
Scholz.
yeah,
All
that's
right,
right.
all right. Didn't inflict his most recent trial at the ballot box on himself, but it's hurt him nonetheless. In that country,
Mm-hmm.
the leaders who promised to reverse the damage by successive conservative administrations caused his country's international reputation stands out against him. What conservative administration?
There isn't one. Like I said, it's all WEF when it comes to Europe,
Well,
and
I
it's
assume that they're talking about in that company a leader who promised to reverse the damage successive conservative administrations caused to his country's international reputation stands out against the rest because it wasn't conservative. With all due
yeah.
respect, Boris Johnson was not a conservative. And I
No,
realize that
I
he might have
agree.
been part of the conservative party, as you guys put it, right? But he wasn't a conservative. He didn't rule from a conservative agenda,
No.
from a conservative platform. What did he? What did he? Did he? You know what? What program did he engage in that was conservative for Britain?
Absolutely none. Like I said, it was all empowered by the WEF that was basically controlling things, and it's now actually worse now that Starmer's in charge.
I just don't understand how you can claim that these were conservative administrations when nothing they did, nothing they attempted to implement, let alone actually implement, was conservative.
I agree.
All right. I just I fail to get that. All right. I
Hmm.
truly do. All right.
Yeah, no, I agree
And
with
on the
you.
heels of that, we have this from the AP. Can you
Mm.
Trump proof NATO as Biden falters Europeans lurk to safeguard the military alliance? Growing
Hmm.
skepticism about President Joe Biden's re-election chances has European leaders heading to NATO summit in Washington, confronting the prospect that the military's alliance most prominent critic, right, Donald Trump, okay, okay, has Donald Trump really criticized NATO that heavily?
Right. Okay. To you guys, not necessarily so much, but over here, it is being said that yes, he has. Now, whether that's the truth or not is a very questionable statement because, are you willing to trust the
You're
media?
going to
Because
tell
I know
me
I bloody well ain't.
it's a major he's a major critic of NATO by saying that the other NATO members need to sit up there and pay their fair share or pay their responsibilities.
Hmm.
That's criticism of NATO.
Yes. Yes.
I've got more criticism of NATO than that. Granted, the prominent part not so much. Okay.
Yeah. Are you trying to tell me that you don't like NATO? I am stunned at this.
Yeah. Okay. NATO, made up of 32 European and North American allies committed to defending each other from armed attack, will, will stress strength through solidarity as it celebrates its 75th anniversary during the summit starting on Tuesday. The event host Biden, who pulled allies into a global network to help fight to help Ukraine fight off Russia's invasion. They fought it off.
No, 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 I can
All
do
right.
better than that. No offense, but um sorry to say, didn't Boris Johnson get there before any other bugger? So,
I'm just well. First of all, Biden didn't do shit. All right, he was dragged into this. All
um,
right, has
yeah.
called the alliance the most unified it has ever been. But behind the scenes, the dominant topic will will be preparing for a possible division as power of the far right forces unfriendly to NATO grows in the United States and other countries, including France, raising concerns about how strong support will stay for the alliance and the military aid that its members send to the Ukraine. France isn't
Yeah.
really a member of NATO.
Isn't it now? Didn't know that. Okay.
They are no longer a full functioning member of NATO. They refuse to be a part of NATO in the sense that
Oh.
oh going in there and going on troops and going on exercises and everything else as part of NATO. They don't take part in that. They haven't for decades. Ever since De Gaulle stood up there
Oh.
and got a hair up his ass about how French sovereignty was at risk.
Hmm. All right. Didn't know that.
Yeah, there
Interesting.
are no U.S. bases in France, is there?
Thinking. Not I can think of. Good point.
All right.
Okay. Hmm.
And I love how they put this that its most prominent critic, Donald Trump, may return to power over its mightiest military. What do you mean, mightiest
Yeah.
military? With all due respect to you guys, what
Mm-hmm.
military that isn't U.S.?
Mm-hmm.
Even in Europe, All right, U.S. forces in Europe dwarf, all right, all the rest of them,
Yes.
and we've drawn down significantly, and
Yep.
yet we're the largest standing military running around out there.
No, no, mate. I need to disappear for about 5 minutes. I'll be right back. All right, mate?
So yeah, that's fine. So all these people keep talking about United States and all this other stuff, and NATO, NATO, NATO. Screw NATO. Now NATO was put together, as Jensen well knows, right? This was all put together with the idea that we had to stop the Soviet Union from advancing into the East or into the Western Europe. All right, that we had to put up a bulwark in there. That the alliance that we had during World War II had officially fallen completely apart, and this was done. Let's be frank, on the auspices of the Soviet Union, where they built the Berlin Wall, where they built the wall between East Germany and West Germany. Okay, it wasn't the U.S. that did this. It was Russia that refused to allow foodstuffs, all right, into Berlin, even into the quote unquote western sectors of Berlin, the areas that were occupied by France, Britain, and the United States. They refused to allow land travel to and from Berlin. That was all done on by Russia. It wasn't done by the United States. It wasn't done by NATO. So NATO was created, all right, because when it came to quote unquote free and fair elections, Russia refused. Russia went in there and said, okay, you can have elections, but they can only be communists. They can only be supporters. And they reinforced it with military might. 1957, I believe. Hungary, ring a bell to anybody? So Churchill's talking about how an Iron Curtain is descended, all right, on Europe. It was an accurate assessment.
By the way.
Or am I wrong about this? Are you back, Jensen? No,
Yes, I'm back.
oh. NATO, what purpose does NATO serve now?
Absolutely bugger all, because at the end of the day, NATO and the UN are effectively completely picking useless.
No, they're anti-American.
Okay.
Why the hell would I care? As an American, why should I support NATO when all they are, okay, is anti-American? When the countries around there stab us in the back at every opportunity.
Yes.
Why should I support them?
I-
Why should we be a part of this?
I've agreed with you for ages about this. You explained your situation, and you are correct. The way you guys have been treated is absolutely unacceptable. This is why what really needs to happen is effectively NATO 2, i.e., redoing it, and this time you guys take the top position as, let's be honest, it's you that's doing effectively most of the hard bloody work. So you should actually take top dog and pick who you have as your allies as part of NATO. None of this letting other people vote on it and bringing in
Well,
random people the way they are doing
the
it currently.
the, the,
No,
the thing is
you're the
we've
leader.
had too many military leaders, U.S. military leaders, all right, that
Yeah,
want to play the get along game with their friends in the other militaries, all right, that don't see
yeah,
it
that's
from the perspective of how is this beneficial to the United States. They want to be Europeans, then let them be Europeans. Let them go over there. Let them stay over there. All right, change the freaking
yeah,
country, stay over there. All right, change your nationality because you're no longer American. These people that
yeah.
you're claiming are allies are doing nothing for the alliance.
Hmm.
When it really comes right down to it, we've been walking on eggshells in these areas for a long freaking time. Now, I'm not saying everything we've done is perfect and that there aren't gripes that are somewhat legitimate, but overall, none of them are. When compared to the real legitimacy, you kind of tell me that Germany has been living up to its NATO commitments. Germany has not stopped living up to its NATO commitments the moment the wall fell.
Yeah, pretty much. Because they knew that you were going to back them up, or more to the point, protect them.
So why should we be there? Now, don't get me wrong, I have no problem supporting Poland. Poland has its own issues,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
and our our relationship with Poland is quite interesting. It's very similar, right? And I know it's going to piss off some people, right? It's very similar to the position that China thinks it has with the United States. Okay, where
Okay.
we're a powerful sister and you guys are just trying to keep us down. Okay, now I'm not saying that the Poles feel like they were trying to keep them down. That's not my point. Okay,
Hmm.
they think that we're there, bullying our way through things. In the reality, the real bullies, of course, are China.
Yeah.
But we're getting blamed to be bullies. Yeah, I just had a major freaking argument with an idiot who doesn't believe that there were freaking terrorist attacks. All right, until Israel came into existence.
Yeah. Well.
Well, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about from Arab terrorist attacks. There weren't Arab terrorist attacks prior to Israel coming into existence. Totally ignores how the Bedouins survived, all right, up until the 1960s, or for the most part, where tribes of them
Yeah.
at times would get a wild hair up their ass and attack people.
Yeah.
And you point this out to these morons, and they keep coming back, oh, it's all Israel's fault. All right, with all due respect, what did Israel do? Israel came into existence when and why? Israel came into existence, all right, because a bunch of Israeli supporters and a bunch of Zionists, right? They back to Israel movement. That's what Jews back to Israel, right?
Hmm.
Bought up all sorts of land and then put kibbutzes
Yeah.
on it, and then brought in freaking other Jewish people to live on the land that they had just purchased.
Yeah.
Now, purchasing that land from the quote unquote owners at the time displaced a lot of Palestinians. I don't deny that.
Hmm.
No one denies that. But those Palestinians didn't own the land. They were working on the land, yeah. They were being allowed to live there from the previous landowners, yeah. That's all true. But they didn't
Hmm.
own the land. They were living in a frickin', feudalistic mentality, all right? That when the ownership changed, and nobody told the Arab they had to sell land. In fact, the British government, all right, between World War One and World War Two, attempted to stop the sale of the land because it was creating the displacement.
Yeah.
But it wasn't
But yet,
stolen from the Palestinians.
no. But yet, don't forget, we're still the bad guy.
Well, you became the bad guy when you sort of said, okay, we're going to stop all Eastern, Middle Eastern, and not Middle Eastern, Western European Jews, all right, from coming to Israel.
Yeah.
Where were they? What were they fleeing, Jensen?
Nothing special, nothing to take note of. Just, the massacres.
The funny little mustache dude, and you guys tried to put a stop
Yeah.
to it. And as a result, what was the result? The Jews that were there said, "You guys are as much of a You guys are as much a help to the little mustache man as anybody else.
Yep.
And that's what was happening, folks. There was a huge
Yeah.
rise in as prior to World War II, there was a massive rise of anti-Semitism throughout Europe.
Yes.
Okay, now it's most noticeable, obviously, in Germany, right?
Yeah.
But it was taking place throughout Europe, and of course, these people were okay. Well, where can we go? Well, nobody wants us. Well, I can hear people
Yeah.
now. Why didn't they come to the United States, nomad? We weren't letting
Mm.
anybody in. We hadn't been for 40 years. Just letting
Mhm.
you know, weren't taking anybody. We weren't taking Europeans. We weren't taking Mexicans. We weren't taking Africans. We weren't taking Chinese. We definitely weren't taking Japanese, right? At that point, we weren't
Mhm.
allowing any immigration into the country at all. We had closed the borders. We had closed Ellis Island. People
Don't you
don't know.
wish you
I
could
don't know.
do that
People who don't know
nowadays?
history, American history, don't realize that. So no, we weren't allowing anybody in. And the United States, prior to World War II, and between World War One and World War II, was hyper isolationist.
Yeah.
Okay, hyper isolationist. But at that point, you had the airgun attacks on Britain started taking place. So what was going on was Britain was getting attacked on all sides by everyone in that region. And I'm told, but you know, they're not supposed to be. They're not supposed to be. Well, people are stupid.
You're not
they're
wrong.
not supposed to be. You know, happening. They shouldn't have been there. It's their fault. It's their look. I'm not saying Israel is a perfect place, right? I'm just saying that this is a 12th century mentality in the Middle East, and the United States is not at fault for that flipping mentality,
Mhm.
and we never have been. And as the world changes, now, unfortunately, as technology changes, as technology moves forward, the effects of certain terrorist acts become broader. For example, there weren't passenger planes with 300 people flying around.
Mhm.
There are now. So an
Yeah.
action to take down a plane back then was if you saw a plane, it was normally just a single seat plane, and people were like, "Ooh, look at that! Well, wow!"
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? There weren't the idea is that there weren't terrorist attacks, right, prior to the creation of Israel by the Arabs, right? It just floors me. And then the people having the audacity to tell me, "Well, you need to crack a book. You need to go back to school and learn." No, I know what happened there. The ones who don't know what happened are idiots like you that emote all over everything instead of taking a look back and going, "You know what? I want to put my emotions aside for the moment and let's talk about this rationally."
Yeah. I agree with shrapnel. No money for other countries. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
We, so NATO, though, back to NATO. NATO just does not serve the U.S. interest. What's an interest is
Mhm.
served by the United States. U.S. interest is served in NATO.
My silence is my answer.
You get my point.
Oh no, dude, I agree with you. All right, everything you're saying actually makes sense. Like I said, what needs to happen is NATO needs to die a death, and there needs to be a new version. At which point, if you guys are expected to be the top dogs, then not only should you be top dog, it should be your choice as to who gets to
Look.
join your gang and play.
What did the United States? What was the United States most effective about in World War II? Let's be perfectly blunt. It's production.
Go on. Yes.
It's production
Yeah. No. No. I
of
agree.
in production and logistics. The
Yeah.
thing that shocked the Germans on D-Day was when they would capture American supplies and find that American supplies had fresh cakes to eat that weren't stale
Yeah.
and moldy or hard as bricks.
Yeah.
That we had and the point to there was what they understood at that point was is we have so much extra logistics we can afford to ship cakes to our troops.
Yep.
It isn't just it. We had logistics coming out, as quoted in the thing. We got logistics coming out of our ears, right?
Yep.
Right. An old from Kelly's Heroes. It was one of Carol O'Connor's statements. I got logistics coming out of my ears
Mm-hmm.
because we did.
Yeah.
All right. We did have logistics coming out of our ears. We were the supplier of the world's arms, and not just arms, but all the regular material stuff because we could do it.
Yeah.
We were producing more Liberty ships. Not, and people talk about this. We literally, just as a stunt, built an entire Liberty ship in 3 days. Okay.
Damn. Mm-hmm.
Now we had that wasn't number one. It was an exception, and number two, it was a publicity stunt. But we did it,
Yeah.
and nothing against anybody, but Liberty ships were they were not top of the line ships. Okay,
No.
I want
No.
people to understand this. These were not ships that were going to last 2-3 decades of service. That was never going to happen.
No.
But they were going to do what they did. They just kept pumping them out time and time and time again because they were just cargo ships, and they're going to be cargo ships going back and forth for the remainder of the war, right?
Yep.
And that was just logistically. That was not the fact that we were building aircraft carriers, we were building destroyers, we were building cruisers, we were building battleships. On top of all that, and then on top
Oh
of
yeah.
all that, we were building how many tanks? How many tanks did we field? Like 50,000?
A couple. Yeah.
You know, no, I think it was even more than that. How many literally tens and tens upon thousands of planes of all
Oh yeah. You
stripes.
guys are churning them out. I don't disagree.
We churned them things out. Took us a while to get ones that were good. That's partly the British's fault. In fact, a lot
And
of it's the
how
British's
is it
fault.
our fault?
Yes.
Now, come on. How? What did
Okay.
we do this time?
When you come out and say, look at our wonderful plane called the
Mm-hmm.
Spitfire, we said, great.
Yeah.
This is great. Look at our wonderful Rolls Royce engine. We said, phenomenal. And we said, we'll make a
Mm-hmm.
deal with you. All right. We will build these engines just like yours are. Just give us the specs. And you gave us a pallet loads of garbage. Okay, not because you didn't
Okay.
want to, but because you guys were like the rest of the Europeans. Oh, our planes aren't just planes that are mass produced. They're works of art, and we have artisans that fix all the little nitnoid things that need to be fixed, rather than identifying them, writing them down, and fixing them during the freaking production process.
It's because you was a mass production system. We were a bespoke construction system. That was the point. Though I see why you are unhappy with it.
Why the Rolls Royce engine was the top of the line aircraft engine everybody needed. All right,
Yes.
everybody. Okay,
Yes.
you literally gave us a palette of your quote unquote blueprints to produce it.
Mm-hmm.
and we basically had to re-engineer the entire thing from the ground up. We basically had to go, you know what? It's faster if we just take an engine, do our own measurements, and try to put it all together,
Yeah.
and then write down, okay, what changes during the process. Set us back 18 friggin' months.
Like I said, you're a mass construction.
Wouldn't it
We're
have
a
been
bespoke.
nice in 1942 to have had a whole line of P-51s ready to go?
It would have been nice. Yeah.
Okay, we could have done that if we had an engine that we could stick it in. Put it out
Yeah.
there.
Actually, the
Right?
Thunderbolt armed with our engine would actually been quite a scary thought.
The Thunderbolt was built to take punishment, as planes
Which
go,
is,
and it did.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. But the P-47 was not. I mean, in comparison to a P-51, though, a P-51 was far better plane.
Yeah.
Right, and it had been designed already. I mean, these things had already been designed. U.S. manufacturers had a lot of design stuff. They just didn't have a lot of the other stuff that they needed, like the a working engine.
Mm-hmm.
It took us a long time to get engines with the power needed to really do things. In fact, the first Corsairs were wildly underpowered.
Yes.
Okay. Now, one thing that we didn't do, which we should have done, is we should have sat there and said, you know what? Who's making your engines over here? Where's the factory? Yeah, all you guys, we're flying you to America. We're gonna build a factory here. You guys sit up there, do them here. And that's one of the things we should have done.
Actually, yeah, they should.
All
To be
right.
fair,
Now
I'm
I
surprised
don't
they
know if
didn't.
they would have done it, all right, because there would have been a revolt saying, "What do you mean you're going to ship up to America for the duration?" But it's one of the things that would
I
have
didn't say
been
we
far
wouldn't
more
react
effective
it.
in getting that production line rolled out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have been nice if we had we did some crazy stuff. People, when we talk about things in the tanks that we built, right? Everyone talks about the Sherman because it was the most mass produced tank that was there, and it did its job.
Yeah.
The difference is we should have been using the 76 millimeter Shermans long before we did. All right, and they had settled on that
Yeah.
75 millimeter rather than the 76. Difference: power to go through armor, tank on
Oh,
tank
yeah.
action. It made a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
And all the 76 versions, almost all the 76 versions, served with the British and the Canadian forces. As Americans, we just kept to the 75.
So the question there is why? You'd have thought
Uh,
you'd have kept the better for yourself. Is the logical thing to
well,
do.
the reason why was what we intended to use the Shermans for and did for the most part. Okay,
We,
we had
okay.
tank commanders obviously like Patton, but the reality is most of our tanks that we used is we saw the role for the tank as infantry support, and against infantry targets, our HE rounds for the
Mhm.
75 were more effective than the 76.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all of a sudden when a German Tiger shows up or a Panther 6 shows up, where it's run for the friggin' hills because that's all you got. Okay,
Yeah.
so that was, but that's the reason, right? Is it was not intended to take on tanks. It was we had dedicated tank destroyers for that, and
Yeah.
they were effective
Yeah.
when they were fighting tanks.
Yeah.
They weren't very effective against infantry support.
In all
Something about thin
fairness,
armor
people
on the sides.
and so people forget this. Infantry are actually really dangerous against tanks, or at least they were.
Yes, they can be very very effective against tanks, and then
Hmm.
that's why you need to when you when you have a moving battle like that, it's tanks and infantry going into an area.
Oh yeah, it's all armored
Right.
troops. So
The other
yeah.
advantage we had, of course, was is we had everyone talks about marching through dirt like they were, and we did. I'm not saying that we didn't, but our
Hmm.
motorized divisions were, we had a lot of movement from trucks. Okay, we could drive people from point A to point B a lot faster than anybody else could.
Yeah.
Logistically, like I said, logistically, it was never a problem, and that's where the United States should be in Europe. It shouldn't be Americans dying over there. We don't need American troops there.
Hmm.
They shouldn't be there. They should just leave it up to the frickin' French and leave it up to the Germans and leave it up to the Dutch. All you guys can be the frickin' cannon fodder to get your asses killed. There's no reason for Americans to be there. You
Yes.
guys can fit in the tanks too. You guys can arm yourselves. The problem with this, and this is the reason I'm bitching right now, is every time we sit up there and came up and said, "Here, let's do this," you guys would always stick it. NATO would always make it more difficult on the Americans from a logistical standpoint. You want us to sit up there? Why aren't we using 45s? Why isn't everybody using a 45? Well, because NATO wanted the 9 mil. Why?
Hmm.
Why? You have an M1911, and I'm telling you right now, the Beretta isn't better than an M1911 even to this day.
Okay.
It's not.
I like the Brett. No, no, I'm just saying I like the Brett personally, but
Have you ever fired a 1911?
I don't think I
Oh,
have.
you would love it.
I could be wrong. I could be
You
wrong.
would love
I
it.
don't think I have.
You would
Okay.
love it, man. I'm telling you. It's something. There's
Yeah.
something to be said for when you fire around, right, and you can actually see in that big freaking ball of lead going down range. You can't see it for long, but if you look in the right
Yeah.
spot, you can catch it. And you're like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's meant to, when I hit you, you go down and stay down, and you don't bother getting back up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it's meant for. But
Yeah.
no, no, no. We had to go to the 9 mil because we want you to produce the 9 mil because it'll match our production lines and everything. What production lines? You're not going to be using those in a freaking war with the Soviets anyway. But see,
Hmm.
our leaders were trying to be diplomatic, and every time we turned around, we were being diplomatic in the wrong freaking way.
Yeah.
And that's
Old school diplomacy does work, I
there
have
are
to say.
certain things we should have done, but because of the arrogance. For example, have you fired the German G3?
Don't think so. I stuck basically with what I was handed, so
Okay,
I'm
the
going to go
German
no.
G3 machine guns, this, crew serve
Hmm.
machine gun, right? Was
Yeah.
was their version of our M60, right?
Yeah.
Much better weapon.
Hmm.
Okay, a hell of a lot more fun to shoot. Not saying that a 60 wasn't fun to shoot because it was. Okay,
Yeah.
but it's a hell of a lot, much higher cyclic rate of fire, right?
Hmm.
A lot easier to aim in many ways, right?
Yeah.
And not quite as heavy. Okay, which meant there was a bit more kick, but it wasn't as heavy as that. An M60 weighs. Okay,
Oh God, yeah. Mhm.
but Germany wouldn't give us the freaking plans for it.
Hmm.
Now, could we have stolen the plans and supplied the American troops with it anyway? Yeah, but we don't do that. Not when you're a supposed ally.
I'm trying not to say you just don't admit that you did that.
We don't
All
do it.
right, I'm
Not
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 good.
all right.
Okay.
If we did it, G3s would be the American squad weapon. It wouldn't be a saw.
I I do actually agree with you there. That's fair.
Okay, I'm not saying that we wouldn't do it. Okay, if they were the enemy, we would. If they're not the enemy, we'll
Yeah.
just use what we already have. The M60 is still out there, just like the Modus is still out there. I don't think we're ever gonna get rid of the M2s, right? 50
Mm.
caliber machine guns that we use.
Oh yeah, no, look, dude. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay, it works. All right.
it does what you need
You
it to do.
Yeah, you start laying down pattern fire with that thing, you are not sticking your head above the parapet. I don't care who
Well,
you are.
and I will say this: if you're doing a comparison with an M60 uh, versus a G3, and you're just going by the noise it makes,
Hmm.
okay, that deep recoil noise from an M60, you can't beat it, and it's just slow enough to right versus the
Oh yeah,
right that you get from the G3, right?
yeah,
But, I mean, it, it's classic. It's a classic sound,
it is. It's ASMR for men. Come on,
right?
admit
So
it.
so I can't I'm not going to complain about that, right?
Yeah.
I'm just it's it's just it is what it is. Let's go to the next story anyway.
Okay.
Hamas fighting capabilities stronger than ever, spokesman suggests. All right, I guess the B-52s are necessary, aren't they? Abu
Okay.
Badeh, a spokesman for Hamas's Al Qassam brigades, delivered a speech Sunday in which he suggested that the Palestinian militia's fighting capabilities are stronger than ever. 9 months and our resistance has not been exhausted, nor has it relented, nor has it subsided, nor has it succeeded in doing anything but getting quote unquote innocent Palestinians killed. We are still fighting in Gaza without support or external supply of weapons and equipment. Really? Then where are you getting it from?
Yeah.
He added that Palestinian civilians in Gaza are persevering through the war without food, water, medicine, but they seem to have cell phones that work everywhere.
Hmm.
I'm just pointing this out, right? As they face a criminal and unjust war of extermination. No, they should be facing a war of extermination, but they're not.
No.
That's the problem.
I've
Sooner or
told you
later,
my
people are going to
plans
come
of
to
how
the
they should
conclusion
deal
that
with it.
that's the only freaking solution for this crap. Because it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gold hits highest since May after cooling U.S. employment data. What a surprise. Gold jumped to a 6 week
Hmm.
high after U.S. hiring data pointed to a gradual cooling in the labor market that bolstered expectations for lower interest rates in the coming months. Bullion was up 1.4% to $2,389 an ounce at 1:30 p.m. in New York on Friday, climbing on data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics that showed that U.S. hiring and wage growth stepped down in June while the jobless rate edged up. Um,
Hmm.
you mean the revised numbers when they were all claiming that we have the best economy ever?
Yeah.
I don't know. In Britain, how do British feel about their economy, your economy
Oh, that was a serious question.
right now? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I'm,
right.
I'm just curious.
Badly. No, really badly. Okay. England is dying. Okay. It really is. And that was before Labour got in.
Right, and
How it's going to be is it's actually it's funny because I'm black pilled. I expect it to go to shit, and that is what makes it funny. It's not funny because it means that this country is likely to collapse. I changed my words carefully there.
what would you mean when you say collapse? What are you? I mean,
Well,
let's be
the
perfectly
econ
frank. You don't. Labor does not have the money that it needs, and Labor still thinks that there's an endless pile of money in some there's some freaking magical freaking leprechaun running around, right? That's gonna sit up there and fund all this shit.
no, you don't. Okay, right. I see what you're thinking. No, there is a magical leprechaun that's going to run around funding it. It's called the WEF.
Do you think the World
We are
Economic
going to
Forum is gonna sit there and give you guys the funding?
they're going
Isn't
to
it the
offer us
labor bank?
just
Isn't it your banks that are going to be funding everything anyway?
like I said, they are going to basically provide just enough to allow our banks to keep things going, but it is going to damage us immensely. So that means that us peasants are basically going to be beholden to the great and powerful banks, who are going to be beholden to the great and powerful WEF.
Okay, but I mean, how is labor going to pivot to try and fill in these gaps?
Because they have claimed that they have no intention of raising taxes, but they will. I feel that they are going to be forced to raise the taxes to a terrifyingly high amount, which is going to destroy our interest rates, which is going to end up destroying our, like,
Well,
basically the sorry, give me a sec, my brain's doing its thing. It's going to actually destroy the 2.2 interest rate that we've got going, and we're going to go floating back up to the higher levels. Which at which point the Conservatives are going to be sitting going, "Told ya,"
well, yeah, but
and
your
unfortunately, there's
conservatives
bugger all
have
we can
no.
do.
Let's be perfectly frank. There's only one person who could have ran the government in the conservative end, and he terrifies people because he's quiet and soft spoken, and that's Mog.
Go on. Oh yeah, yeah,
All right. I don't know what it is,
agreed.
but as soon as people see Mog, as far as the Brits, from what I can see, they're absolutely terrified of the
It's
man.
because he is of the upper class. He is not the lower class like I am. And remember that the lower class respect the upper class. It's the what the British call the middle class that are the bad guys. They are where you will find the atypical liberal brigade. Okay. Us lower class are predominantly Labour. Upper class are predominantly Conservative, and the middle class are the liberals that basically scoop what they can from both sides and turn it to their own little ideas.
Okay, give me a middle class person that was a conservative. Does Boris Johnson qualify in that regard?
No, he's upper. You're
Okay.
you're actually going to have quite a hard time finding a middle class conservative. Technically, you're looking at
Yeah, because they're all labor.
Priti Patel. I know that's the point.
All right, so they dominate labor. They control labor.
Mm, mm, yeah, how to explain this? Not easy. Okay, now the problem you've got is that you're assuming that there is much difference between the Conservatives that we've got and the Labour that we've got. No, they are basically all but the same thing nowadays. At one point, they were different, but now they're not. It's disturbing. Basically, the Liberals won.
Well, yeah, the leftists. They're not liberal. They're leftists, right?
Yeah,
20,
over here, leftists are actually Labour.
yeah. You see, it's just like this. Remember when I said that they talked about how there was going to be a conservative sweep in France, and I said bullshit.
Yeah. Oh no, no, no. Did you not hear? Apparently, Macaroon decided to become real friendly with all of the socialist
He
parties
was always
to
friendly
get.
with the Socialist Party.
Yeah. No, the difference is they're actually going to work together to go against Le Pen.
Well, they were always
Or at
doing.
least
They were
that was
already
what.
doing that.
I know. I know.
The 2024 French election live updates. Leftists win most seats. All right, pollsters say. The first
Yeah.
projections of the 2024 French legislative election say leftists have won the most seats. The surprise projections put President Emmanuel Macron's centrist alliance in second and the far right in third. They're looking
Hmm.
at a leftist coalition, but it was always a leftist coalition. The
Yep.
coalition calls itself the New Popular Front, which is named after a similar coalition formed in the 1930s against the rise of fascism in France. These were the surrender monkeys, folks.
Yep.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. These were the surrender monkeys. It includes environmentalist parties, the French socialists and communists, and the hard left France Unbowed Party. Ahead of Sunday's vote, the leaders of the alliance's four parties promised unwavering support for the Ukraine. They promised to reverse a law that raised the retirement age from 62 to 64, all right, raise the minimum wage, adjust salaries and pensions with the inflation rate, and freeze food and energy prices to boost people's purchasing power. How are you going to do that?
You're not.
Okay.
Please remember, if a politician promises something, you can pretty much take it as said that that is a huge pile of crap and it's never going to happen.
I think one of the things they will do is they will raise the minimum wage because they'll screw over everything
Mm-hmm.
else. There is no
Mm-hmm.
way that they're going to sit up there and adjust the salaries and pensions with the inflation rate. You know that that's not going to happen.
Oh
And
no.
what's more is they're going to they're going to reverse the law that raised the retirement age. Don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to do any of that.
No.
And if they attempt
No.
to freeze, and I do believe that they'll attempt to freeze energy prices and food, and it'll cause an economic scarcity. Enjoy your
Yes.
breadlines,
Oh yes.
because that's
Oh
what's coming.
look. It's the Conservatives and breadlines. Isn't it? Sorry, the communists and breadlines. Isn't there a connection with that somewhere? I vaguely remember hearing about this.
I was just curious how they're going to do anything, unless they actually go through with Macron's plans to put them all into the Ukraine to actually fight against the Russians. Almost said Soviets, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Officially, they're not Soviets. You can't use that
But they're
term
not gonna.
anymore.
Leftists won't put anybody in there. We're gonna give more money to the Ukraine. How?
Yeah.
Where are you gonna get the money from? We promised unwavering support for the Ukraine. Go. But we're dying. We need troops. No, go. That's the
Yep.
support you're gonna get from these guys. They're surrender monkeys.
Yes.
But I said this before that all this hand wringing that was going on about how Marine Le Pen, she's not gonna win. I said it
No.
before. They aren't going to win the majority of the election because they got to win a majority. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All these people keep saying that they're centrist. They're not centrist. Anybody tells you you're a centrist, they're leftists.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's the reality. They're
Yeah.
leftists. Macron was working with these people long before. He was a leftist. I said that before, and that was the last election when Macron, how they were saying that the right was going to take over and everything else. Now they increased their standing. Le Pen's party increased its standing in the French legislature.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is you're going to have to get money from somewhere, and you ain't going to be getting it from the United States. Enjoy. Like I said, we're going to an isolationist frame of mind, folks.
Yep.
You'll see it. You're going to see it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the Middle East and what's going on over there and everything, why do you want the killing to stop? How do you plan to get the killing to stop? You have one side that's committed to the killing, and that's Hamas. So how do you fix that? I'm
I
tired of
know
these
the
people
answer,
sitting there
but
coming
people
back. Oh,
won't
I
like
don't
it.
want war. Well, then how do you fix it? Tell us what your plan is. Tell me what it is. How you would fix this? Well, I'd pull the United States all the way out of there. Oh, so the killing will stop if we just pull out.
No,
The
you
murder,
slaughter
savagery,
the
and butchery will
people
just
that.
end if we pull U.S. forces.
You know, you kill those that are doing that. That's how you stop it. And before people give it with the, oh, but that will just bring up other people that want to it. No, it won't, because there won't be anybody
If you went
to
in,
bring up
if we
that
went in there with
way.
B-52s and said, okay, we're tired of this. We're gonna bomb you until you say uncle. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what it takes. And even then,
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to say uncle.
No.
Okay, but they have to believe you're willing to do it in order to actually get them to say, "Hey, we need you know we, we got to do this." And you can't listen to these people whinge and cry. They innocent civilians were getting killed. They were innocent civilians. Look, Randy Manning showed us all that you guys are just killing innocent civilians. No, we were killing people that were freaking violating the situation in a war zone. Welcome to war.
Yep.
That they're innocent civilians. No, they're supporters of a brutal dictatorship that wants to butcher people, and they have every intention of doing so. It frosts me to listen to these people talk. Oh, we had to deal with the Taliban, and the Taliban has violated every one of those agreements now, haven't they? Tell
Oh
me
yeah.
what agreement that the Taliban had with Biden that they've stuck with. Hell, now they're running around in the UN saying, "You will not have that woman in front of me. She will not be your diplomat." And the UN people are like, "Okay."
Yeah. Basically, UN has become the surrender monkey.
Well, they were always freaking murderous dictators. They always have been.
Agreed?
Okay, Jensen.
What? What me? I didn't do it.
Man uses eye socket strength to break 2 Guinness World Records. Are you insane? Who put
Um.
a Las
Okay.
Vegas man who
Hold up. Exactly. Las Vegas man. He's one of your lot. He's your problem. You deal with it.
a Las Vegas man who works as a sideshow artist broke a pair of eye-popping Guinness World Records using the strength of his eye sockets. Andrew Stanton appeared on Italian TV series Lo Show della Record in Milan and took on the record for the heaviest weight pulled with an eye socket and the heaviest weight lifted by both eye sockets while swallowing a sword. For the first title, Stanton attached a large metal hooks to his eye sockets and used them to pull a Cadillac and a driver, totaling 5,319 pounds and 319.75 pounds across the TV stage show. He became the first holder of the second title by swallowing his sword using the hooks in his eye sockets to lift 129.63 pound assistant.
Yeah.
What kind of Guinness record? I mean, who thinks to put things in their eye sockets to lift weights?
Yeah. Good question, eh?
I'm
Gotta love
just,
the stupid ones.
I'm just asking. All right, final story, and then we'll
Mm-hmm.
end the stream because I know it's getting late for you, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Mystery emu found wandering loose through a Pennsylvania neighborhood.
The Australians are invading you. Get prepared.
A Pennsylvania police department is trying to find the owner of an unusual escaped pet found wandering loose, an emu. The Newton Township Police Department said on a social media that the patrol officers encountered an emu wandering in the area of Stupeville Road and Rosefield Road. The post included a photo of the emu standing in a resident's driveway. The department said it's trying to identify the emu's owner so we can return it home safely. These things are not safe for anybody. Okay?
No.
I'm just pointing this out here. Emus are emus, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's the fireworks law, right? Traffic advisory. Wright's Township.
Hmm.
Wrightstown Township. An emu. Now, emus are,
Yeah.
I think you can eat them, can't you? Aren't they a food source?
Dude, it's a bird. There's not very many birds you can't eat, at least if you put some effort into it. So, yeah, what you're looking at there is a very, very large case of KFC. I am totally okay with killing an insect. Okay,
right? As opposed to the capybaras roaming around Colorado.
there's more meat on them, I'd say.
I mean, I don't know why people even have these things. They're in a zoo. If it escaped from a zoo, that's one thing. But and in this case, the capybara thing will escape from a zoo. But it is what it
Hmm.
is. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Appreciate everybody coming out. We'll talk again later. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye bye.